transparent, being open, being willing, being teachable, being committed, and for sharing your awesomeness with each other. Logistically speaking, a couple logistics I want to handle before we move forward. One is an invitation to each and every one of you to continue to renew your commitment to being transparent and vulnerable and expressing where you're at and where you're going. So keeping in mind always, with the navigation system, we've got to know where we're at and where we're going if we want to get anywhere. If we don't know those two things, then we're already where we're going. There's no, you're already there. So being clear on where are you at, where are you going, and really if we were to add a third thing, it would be what's in your way. And so in our conversations within the forum here, my invitation is keep sharing your takeaways and your realizations and your ahas, because when you share that, someone else realizes, oh wow, and it clicks in someone else and it passes that on. The same thing when you share transparently and vulnerably about what you're struggling with, it assists you to and assist others to see, one, they can reach out and help you shift through it so you can move forward instead of continuing to struggle with it, and then two, the act of sharing that brings you out of your comfort zone and allows you to expand as a person. And then three, it just creates this powerful community where it's safe to be all of us, it's safe to be you, and you're constantly getting support and giving support, so it's this healthy exchange of value of assisting and being assisted and keeping everyone moving forward so that we're not just consuming content, we are changing lives. We are So with that being said, I love anything and everything that's of value, and we want to place special awareness around what that value is. And if we continue to interact and stay raw, and if we're to speak in Garrett's terms, real, raw, and relevant, and let me break that down a little bit. Real means it's the truth, it's authentic, it's of integrity. Raw means it has emotion, and maybe it's stuff that most people are not unwilling to say. It's just unedited and just let it out and let it be raw. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just more powerful because it's just so raw. And then the third, relevant, meaning that it's relevant to the people you're posting it to. So anything that you post in Limitless Legion, make sure that it's relevant to the listeners. And what does relevant mean? Let's break that down further. It means it assists everyone in the group, or the people in the group, to get what they want. So if you're having a struggle and you can share that in a way, and this will be helpful for you in any of your marketing or anything else you're wanting to create in your world, is to communicate this way and think this way, because then everything you do becomes of value and of service. So it's what can I say and what can I share within the group on a consistent and daily basis, and each day you're asking, what can I share today that would be real, it would be raw, and it would be relevant. Real means it's honest.
There's the two 6-axis ones right here.
When you come
the two shaky ones.
So step one, this second, whoever KC/Mountain Dew, gonna mute them out as well. So again, real meaning it's authentic, it's honest. Raw meaning it's just vulnerable. It's transparent, it's risky, it's scary, you're just opening up and being vulnerable. And relevant meaning it helps the person watching, reading, or listening to get what they want. So I could get on and say, yeah, my life sucks, it's so hard to be me, and if that's all I put, is that helping someone to get what they want? Not at all. Or I might say, oh, it's so awesome to be me, and do nothing else to help it be relevant to who I'm talking to, and now I'm not of service. Or I might post some positive quote or pass along some picture of some cool quote or some other thing that is, cool. It's a cool quote. But if it's not relevant and directly relevant to me and to the group, and tying that in with something deeper, then pretty soon we're all just exchanging cool pictures and cool quotes, and we've lost the true value. It's more like positive thinking versus true transformation. And we start to hide behind, just like we hide out, not wanting to get on stage, not wanting to get on video, not wanting to be in front of the world. We start to hide out behind positive quotes. So just the logistic is, guys, bring awareness to your contribution to the group and make sure that it's real, raw, relevant, that it's transparent, open, vulnerable, that you're really opening up, being real and vulnerable and authentic and natural, you, and showing us your strengths and your weaknesses in a way that helps others to capitalize and leverage and create more success as a result of it. Aside from that, again, thank you so much. The contributions have been amazing. Loving the group and all of you. So just thank you again. Now, today's topic is intimacy and sex. So, of course, you guys know me. I don't just talk about, surface level stuff. It's always got to have some deeper stuff behind it and have some deeper purpose. And I may talk about sex and money and power, but then I always bring it back down into some other stuff that has significant meaning and purpose. So just how I roll. So let's talk about, sex and intimacy and what does it actually mean. And really the context for this is sexual energy in and of itself. And in order to have a meaningful and valuable and relevant conversation around this, it makes a lot of sense to speak to the energy behind it and how it ties to everything else that we're creating and how all that flows and affects every aspect. So let's start by this. And part of that's going to be based around the 5 core feelings and emotions that you've heard me talk about in the past as well, because they're all part of this. So let's start by introducing what I call the one hose theory. And the one hose theory is a theory that we as individuals, as people, have one hose. Imagine it's like it could be a fire hose, it could be a garden hose, it could be a hose, like I like to picture the hose being like as big as my body, like a fire hose this big around, just, and that hose determines all that I get to create in the world. And there's a certain amount of life force energy that's available to flow through me into what I'm meant to manifest or create into the world. That there's a creative source that is wanting me to express it, that is wanting to express itself through me. So think of that. I'm going to put it in God terms. What if you are an expression of God and He is just expressing Himself through you? What if you are less of an individual than you think you are? What if the wave and the ocean are one and the same? It's just that the wave is one expression of the ocean. What if the ocean is God and you are the wave and you are simply a part and an expression of that ocean? And that you're not so separate as you think you are from that source. And what if that source is trying to flow through you? Let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like full capacity, fire hose this big, just, and And creative life force, the creative source of all things, is trying to flow that expression through you, but you've kinked the hose down, 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 down until it's just this little teeny drip. And what if there's only one hose that you have, that's you, that energy can flow through, and that you control the flow by how much you kink or unkink that hose? And what if this hose affects every aspect of your world? What if it determines how much love and connection and passion you can have in your relationships, and authenticity and honesty and all that is good in your relationships? What if this hose affects your bank account? Not only affects, it's stronger than affects. It's more like, what if the amount of creative life force energy that you're allowing to flow through your hose is determining your bank account? What if the creative life force energy that you are allowing to flow through your hose is determining your spirituality and your inspiration and your connection to divinity and purpose and significance in the world, is directly created by how much of a kink or how much you have allowed the hose to flow? So in the 4 stages of life video that I shared with many of you, I described 4 stages. The first stage of life being, life happens as me. Just, I'm life. You know, it's like I'm the ocean. The first phase is the wave thinks that it's the ocean. Like, yeah, I'm the ocean. I'm just part of the ocean. And then later, the second phase is, life happens to me. It's happening to me. I'm a victim, and you know, everything outside of me determines what I have and don't have, and it's the world's fault, it's the economy's fault, it's men's fault, it's women's fault, it's religion's fault, it's God's fault, it's everything. It's my fault or their fault. It's all about fault. Who's to blame? You know, it's like, who's right, who's wrong, and who's the biggest victim is the whole conversation in the life happens to me phase of life. And I've shared that my 3.5-year-old is starting to phase into the life happens to me phase. And my 16-year-old is starting to wake up to the fact that she creates her world. If you saw my video the other day where she realized that the way she holds her body posture and holds her being and her energy when she walks with certainty, she totally changes the outcome of what happens in her world. So my 3.5-year-old is moving into the life happens to me phase. I'm a victim. All this is happening to me. And my 16-year-old has been in that phase and is waking up to, as she's been around it and seen other possibilities, she's waking up to the reality that, wow, maybe life isn't happening to me. Maybe I create it. Maybe I'm affecting it. So then the next phase after we move from life happens as me, life happens to me, over to life happens by me. Where we take responsibility, we learn new skill sets and new mindsets and new ways of being and approach life differently than just our default programming, and we start to get different results. What this might look like is, first a kid just showed up to school. And he was in life happens as me. He's like, oh, life's cool. Let's go to school and see what this is about. Then he runs into some bullies. And he's in the life happens to me phase where he's like, what the crap? People bully me. It's so tough. Life sucks. It's not fair. It's bully. Life is bullies. Now, if he keeps believing life happenings to him, then he'll keep manifesting bullies, bullies, bullies. And he'll just say, that's how life is. There's bullies, and they beat me up, and I don't want to go to school because there's bullies. But then if he says, you know what, screw this, life happens by me, I'm moving over to taking responsibility for my life and creating it how I want to be, then he joins, you know, martial arts. He starts getting, say, UFC training, mixed martial arts, jiu-jitsu, grappling skills, whatever, and he starts to apply these, and he, in the beginning, the bullies might still beat him up because they're still bigger, they're still stronger, they're still more bold, and he's still got confidence issues. So it takes a while to apply these skills in the life happens to me phase. He's still learning how to block and kick and punch and defend and move and duck and roll with, and he's learning how to be confident and how to love himself and how to know all these different things. And so at first he may be frustrated, like, I put in all these trainings, I keep attending each week, and I've been going for 3 months now, and the bully's still kicking my butt. So it's frustrating, those first phases, because he goes through a lot of work with little reward. Very similar to planting a garden, we provide a lot of value for months and months and months before we ever start receiving the value back. But then there comes a time when we've been in life happens by me, where we're the creator of our world long enough that it starts to become second nature. To where next time the bully comes to pick on him, he doesn't even think about it. His conscious has slipped through and become unconscious, to where he doesn't have to think, block, kick, punch. The bully goes to smack him, and he instantly just does his move without even thinking about it. And the next thing you know, the bully's on the ground, and the kid has created a completely different result. But it's become second nature. It's become effortless. So when this happens, when we've practiced in the phase of life happens by me long enough, and we have taken on enough skills and mindsets and approaches that we have those confidence, we have those abilities, and we apply them and they become second nature, we can now move into the next phase, which is life happens through me. You can change also the words life happens to God expresses. So it could be God expresses by me, God expresses to me, or sorry, God expresses as me. So my baby is just an expression of God. God expresses to me. God expresses by me. He's utilizing me to express, but it's a conscious choice. To all the new ways of being that are not default. And in the scriptures it said, the sins of the father shall fall upon the sons for up to 7 generations. If you back that up, well, you could say the same thing. The greatness of the fathers shall be bestowed upon the sons for up to 7 generations as well. So all that's saying is we tend to pass down all of our stuff, right? Good or bad, good or bad. So if God expresses, and that becomes second nature, I get out of my default programming, because in the life happens to me, I'm just operating on default patterning. It's happening to me, and there's nothing I can do about it. Life happens as me, or by me, is now a choice, and a conscious, deliberate choice about how I'm showing up. Instead of just sitting back and being bullied, I'm deliberate about how I'm reshaping the experience. Then that becomes second nature, and it just starts to happen. I just show up as that person, and life begins to happen through me, or God begins to express himself through me. It begins to be effortless. I may, where marketing in the beginning may be hard, and then I apply it, and pretty soon it becomes effortless and natural. Or, that's true of any version. It's just in the beginning we have to think a lot to get good at it, and then it becomes second nature. So eventually we circle clear back around and end up where we started, which is life happens as me. Again, so as me, to me, by me, through me, and eventually back to as me. Now, how does this tie into, sexual energy and intimacy? In all aspects. And let's go back to this one hose theory. The one host theory I've expressed is about having a certain amount of life force energy that flows through us. And I talked about these 4 stages because it ties, because as we continue to be conscious and deliberate about how we're creating our worlds, instead of just on default programming of what was modeled to us by TV, by those around us, by our environment, and we start to consciously create it. It's like in the movie The Matrix, where Neo believes that he's confined by the limitations of the program, but then when he realizes, you know what, that's just the program that I've been participating in and believing that I can't fly, I have to move slow, you can only be so fast, you can only be so powerful, you can only be so epic. That's just a program that a computer system wrote to keep me contained and repeating while it harvests energy from me. What if none of that's true and I can write my own script and I can do anything I want to do within integrity that aligns with correct principle, not the confines of false programming? What if instead of buying into the default programming of what's been given to me, I said, wait, how much of this is BS, and how can I align to the highest principles that govern success and way transcend anything that I ever thought was possible in all realms, in relationships, in finances, in spirituality, in my physical health and well-being, in all aspects of who I am? Can I go beyond those and reach my true potential as an expression of God? And so the first step is becoming conscious of what's happening in your world and taking 100% responsibility. And then from there, it's about learning the skill sets and mindsets and upgrading your environments so that you can begin to create a new world of design, of conscious design versus just default whatever comes to me, I'll settle for the scraps and blame everybody and everything outside of me. Then we do that long enough and become second nature, and now things just happen. It's just, so like back in the day when I first started all this, then life was always hard. It's like, what do I need to do? Do. And now it's just constantly, oh yeah, people come to me and they say, hey, I want you to coach me. Hey, what is it like? Like they just, instead of me having to try and go seeking, I just chill and it just comes to me. And they're still doing that I do. But the point is, the more aligned you get, the more stuff just comes to you. It just happens more effortlessly. But in the beginning, you know, don't translate that to mean that that kid that's getting bullied can skip all the work of doing the martial arts lessons and hope that somehow something outside of him is going to deliver him from the bully. No, he gets to take responsibility. He gets to do the work. And then after he's done the work and upgraded his mindsets and his skill sets and his abilities, the bully becomes light work. It's just boom, no problem, no big deal. This was easy. I don't know why I made it such a big deal in the first place. Okay, so now let's bring this back to the one host theory again. The one host theory, and let's tie this into emotion. Emotion is energy in motion. Does that sound a little bit like what I'm saying about the one host theory and creative life force energy? Could those be related? What if, so when I talk about the 5 core feelings, I've told you there's anger, there's sadness, there's fear, there's sexual, and there's joy. Well, most of us tend to make some of these feelings special feelings. Like we have special, we blush when we talk about it, and we suppress it, and we hide it, and we don't want to talk about it because we've made it a special feeling. And the truth is, none of them are special. They're all just feelings. And none of them are more special than the next. And none of them are inherently negative. And none of them are inherently positive. we tend to think that anger, sadness, and fear are negative emotions. And then we tend to think that sexuality is something we shouldn't talk about and that we should blush and giggle like second graders or kindergartners when we talk about it. We're like, oh, he said sex. And the truth is, whatever we have become uncomfortable with around any of these feelings is a kink in the hose. And that all of these feelings serve your creative potential in the world. If you had no anger, you would never stand up for anything. So channeling your anger and opening up and knowing how to consciously and deliberately choose to channel and transmute your anger into creative life force energy, just adding it back into the flow of energy and channeling that into what you consciously choose to create is critical. Because you're creating in every moment, whether consciously or unconsciously, you are always creating. But the more you can do it consciously, the more you can create what you want, and the more you do it unconsciously, the more you're just creating what default programming is setting you out to create. So, you know, because the main topic today is sexuality, we're not going to talk too much about these other emotions, but know that your anger and your sadness and your fear serve you, and they're a critical piece of your success. Now let's talk about sexuality and the feeling, the core feeling, sexual. Feeling sexual. Let's break this down. To feel sexual just means to feel alive, to feel energetic, to have the flow be opened up, to feel connected, to feel enlivened, to feel, the term we use with a sexual context is, I'm turned on. You know, if I said, I'm so turned on right now, people will be like, what, you feel horny? I'm like, yes, maybe, no, I don't know, but like turned on like a light bulb is turned on. To be turned on, we've made it a context of horny and about sex and intercourse or some other form of what sexual means, but there's so much more to it than just having sex. That's only one possible expression of your creative energy. You have all of this creative life force energy available, and sex is just one possibility. One possible expression of that creative life force energy. And just like I turn my light switch on, and that turns on the energy or the light, and I can turn it back off, same thing with my creative life force energy. So people say, yeah, I love them, but I'm not in love. This is a bullshit myth. Love and in love is something that you create. It's not something that happens to you. If you're not in love with someone anymore, then it's not because they're the wrong person and you made a mistake and chose the wrong person in the beginning. You just went, last week we talked about relationships, and it was the 7 waves, and the first wave was essence is awakened. So we see someone's magnificence, and we're like, oh, that's the one. They're going to make me happy ever after. And then we see their crap later, and we're like, oh, he sucks, she sucks. And then that's when we're saying, yeah, I love them, but I'm just not in love with them anymore. No, that's your rational justification for what you've done to blame and attack and criticize and not take responsibility and heal your shit and be in love with yourself so much so that you can be in love with anybody and everybody, and that you can show up and keep your agreements and kick ass and learn from the experience and get back to that space of love and live there happily ever after, rather than looking for something outside of you to give that to you, somebody outside of you who's going to deliver that to you. So again, let's draw this back into the one hose theory. So if I have this much capacity as a hose, but I'm like, I'm not okay with my anger, I'm not okay with my sadness, I'm not okay with my sexuality, I'm not okay with too much joy, I'm not okay with too much fear, then we're left with like this minimal expression. But what if we were 100% okay with all of those? And we were able to allow all of that energy to flow. Every bit of creativity and aliveness and joy, and again, back to turned onness. What if I organized my life in such a way that I was always ignited and enlivened and turned on? What if that became my new norm? What if the norm wasn't, okay, I'll sit in this cubicle again and do the job I hate and suffer and struggle through this, and then I'll come home and we'll watch some TV and eat some processed foods, and then we'll go to sleep, and we'll just, wouldn't want to be. It's like one time, I don't remember what movie this is, but this is one of my moments when I try to be funny. It's like one time, I thought I had mono for like an entire year. Turned out I was just really bored. So we live these half-assed lives, and we wonder, why am I lacking vitality? Why am I not turned on? Right? And then we make up all these stories and judgments around our sexual energy, all kinds of stories, like, well, it's not okay to be attracted to older people. Like, if I'm a man and I'm 30 and she's a woman and she's 40, then I shouldn't be attracted to her. That, woman's supposed to be 2 years younger than you, or whatever the rule is in your head, right? So then he's like, no, I shouldn't think that. Well, the same thing with all kinds of other things we do. Like, sexual energy is one of the most powerful creative energies. And yeah, we can utilize it to create babies. And yeah, we could utilize it just to create orgasms. But we can also utilize it to create business and art projects and anything else that we consciously choose to create. And it is the life force energy for creation of all sorts. Sex or intercourse or any version of what we call sex is just one expression of your creative life force energy. It's just one out of infinite possibilities. Exactly, just one little wave in the ocean. So, if sex isn't the cure-all, end-all, although it's a great experience, and we'll talk more about the beauty of intimacy and connecting and the power of making love and the power to manifest in that moment. One of the most powerful moments to manifest is, make love with whoever you're making love with, and afterwards stop and meditate and visualize while putting conscious and deliberate breathing processes into play. Just consciously and deliberately breathe and bring yourself present and visualize while in that higher frequency what you're choosing to create in your world. That's the most powerful time to visualize and create what you want. You're in one of the highest frequencies and vibrations you're ever going to be in. Use that moment to create what you choose to manifest moving forward, because remember, you don't create what you want, you create what you vibrate. And in that moment, you are vibrating incredibly high frequency. You've just made love. You've just connected. And typically, sex doesn't happen. I mean, plenty of us do plenty of people do plenty of sex that's totally disconnected. But the epic sex, the really good stuff, actually only comes when there's a deep connection. It's not just, hey, I want an orgasm. It's, we actually really connected and became present with each other and made love. This space of like merging as one, coming together in this beautiful, beautiful space of not, I need a quick fix, just but that we actually created an intimate connection that meant something, that was deeper. Not just, hey, give me my orgasmic fix. And there's so many stories around this. There's stories that men need more sex than women, that men like sex more than women, that men always think about sex and women don't, and that It's just part of a man's needs. All this stuff is bullshit. Women and men both love sex. If you don't love sex, then there's a lack of intimacy, a lack of connection, a lack of communication skills, a lack of authenticity. There's some secrets. There's some blocked energy around when you were molested or abused or your heart got broken in that relationship or some other shit. If you're not turned on and sexually attracted, then you've blocked the energy. And the thing is it's not just affecting your sex life, it's affecting your bank account and everything else. Research has shown that bank accounts and sex lives directly correlate. The number one leading causes of divorce: money and sex. Well, that's not just a cause, it's also an effect. Some blocked energy around when you were molested or abused or your heart got broken. Make sure you mute yourself when you come on. So part of this is, whatever sexual trauma we have, and the sexual trauma just doesn't exist for girls either, guys. We got to end this victim-villain shit about men always think about sex. Yeah, that's where men always go, and blah, 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 and men molest and rape women, and blah, blah, blah. There may be tendencies that way, but there's molestation and rape and abuse and power over and control in so many forms on all aspects that it's not about anyone blaming anybody. It's like we're all humans and we all do stupid shit. And there's even minor forms of rape that have nothing to do with your body. It has everything to do with forcing or coercing somebody to do something they don't want to do. In my world, that's a rape. Even when I raise my children, rather than me saying and making and enforcing them to do stuff they don't want to do, I actually use communication skills to communicate with them, to help them realize that I first ask them questions. Well, what do you want? So in fact, I was a minute or a minute and a half late for this call. Why? Because my daughter was out there with the nanny freaking out. And the nanny didn't know what to do. She's like, oh crap, what do I do? And I go to my daughter and I'm like, hey, what's going on? You look like sounds like you feel so sad. Yeah, I do. Well, what do you want? I miss mommy and I miss my sissies. And it wasn't really even directly about that. What it was about was she was upset because she didn't want to take her Elsa dress off to go to the beach. So I'm like, okay, well, what do you want? Notice I didn't say, you're going to take your dress off and get your ass to the beach or I'm going to beat it. I said, well, what do you want? And I didn't say, because I'm the dad, you're going to do what I tell you to do. I said, what do you want? Well, I miss mommy. Oh, do you want to see mommy? So I immediately tuned into what she wanted, and now I'm going to help her see how she can get what she wants by doing what I want her to do. So I said, oh, you miss mommy? Yeah. Do you want to see mommy? Yeah. Okay, let me help you go see mommy. What we need to do, mommy's at the beach, and mommy's waiting for you. And the nanny's going to take you to mommy right now. So all we got to do is take your dress off and put your swimsuit on, and then you can go see mommy. And then when you get back, we can put your dress back on. Do you want that? Yeah, I want that. Awesome. Ta-da! No abuse, no punishment, no manipulation. Well, I can't quite say that, because the truth is, when you're influencing people or circumstances, you are influencing the result. You are manipulating the result, but there's a difference between unconscious or lose-lose manipulation versus win-win deliberate strategic influence/manipulation. So I influenced the outcome with ease by just getting clear and asking some questions, see what she wanted, and then helping her to get that by having her do what I wanted, which was simply to take off her Elsa dress and put on her swimsuit. So this applies to all aspects of lives. When you're trying to get your spouse to do something they don't want to do, and you're guilting and shaming them about it, it's a problem. You're doing a version of rape. It's a smaller version because you're not physically enforcing sexual interaction, but you are forcing and manipulating someone to do something they don't want to do. So every time we're guilting and shaming each other into doing stuff we don't want to do, we're making withdrawals from the account, and it's just not healthy. It's lose. It's not win-win, it's lose. So one person might say, you know, well, I always initiate sex and you never initiate sex. What's wrong? Well, if we stopped that and instead we tuned in and we got curious and took responsibility, like, my partner doesn't seem to be sexually attracted to me. It seems like they never initiate sex. I wonder what's happening in their world and what I could do to switch up the way I'm showing up to influence the outcome of this. Well, one of the first things to know about that is that authentic expression is the most powerful aphrodisiac in the world. And I'm talking not, so let me clarify a little bit here. Most people think authentic expression is just saying whatever comes to your mind. That's not actually authentic expression. I could say, you're such a jerk, you don't care about me. Well, why are you saying that? I'm just being authentic. Well, that's not authentic. That's blaming. Yeah, it might be what you're thinking. It's authentic as to what you're thinking, but it's also riddled with blame and attack and criticism, and it has no responsibility and all kinds of other crap in it. So to speak authentically in a real, raw, relevant way, I might rather say, you know, I've been noticing I feel sad when I think the thought that I'm the only one that initiates sex in our relationship. Or it might be even the shoes on the other foot. I notice I've been feeling sad as I notice that you've mentioned multiple times that you're the only one that initiates sex and that you don't feel like I love you, and you're wondering why I'm not into it. And I've been feeling some sadness around that, and I'm wondering what we could do to open that up and make it enjoyable and fall back in love again and recreate that passion that we had and have that amazing sex that we both love and enjoy. Let's have a conversation around that. So it's getting that real and raw and vulnerable. When we're communicating that way, the things you want to connect with in each other is, what is the other person saying? What is the other person feeling? And what is the other person wanting? What are they saying? What are they feeling? And what are they wanting? And when, instead of us trying to fight for, well, you always get what you want, it's my turn, and treating each other as enemies that are fighting against each other, starting to see each other as allies who are going in the same direction as each other. And instead saying, cool, I want you to have everything that you want, and I don't want you to have to do anything you don't want to do. That's mine and my wife's agreement. How can I have everything I want and she has everything she wants? It's and both. Literally no one compromising or sacrificing anything. How can I have everything that I want? How can she have everything that she wants? And to have neither of us ever have to do anything that we don't want to do in any form. And so do things fluctuate? Does our sexual attraction fluctuate? Yeah, sometimes I'm so alive and turned on with my business and my clients and everything that I'm serving and creating in the world that all of my creative energy goes into my business, and I don't even think about sex. In fact, there's your D-myth for anybody out there that thinks that men always just think about sex and want sex and whatever. There's plenty of times when I get out of balance and so in, maybe it's not even out of balance, but I get so into my creative expression of serving others and doing what I do that the energy is spent, and I'm not even thinking about sex. I can go for very extended periods of time with having zero desire for sex because I'm fully expressing my creative life force energy into the service of the world. And a classic example of this, there was a couple. They were both married. They had like a Christian background of some sort. I think either both of their spouses died. They were kind of sweethearts in high school or something, and then they were married for 10 or 15 years to other people. So they were sweethearts, then separated, then they both married other people, and then either both their spouses died, or one of them died and the other got divorced or something, and then they came back together. But the woman had this belief that she's only supposed to sleep with one man in her life. So I'm not saying this is right or wrong, I'm saying this was her belief. And so she said, yes, I want to marry you, but I'm committed to not having sex with anybody for the rest of my life. I had sex with my previous husband, and I'm staying with that. So we can be partners, life partners, totally share everything, be totally intimate in love, amazingness, but I'm never going to have sex with you or anybody. And he chose into that. He said, okay, let's do it. I'm in love with you, and I just want to be with you. And they went all in, and had this amazing relationship. And what they would do is, as the sexual energy would come up, they devoted their sexual energy to God. They would sit together and breathe and meditate and channel their sexual energy and feel it fully, and allow their body to feel this aliveness and like turned on, and just everything lit up and raising their frequency and vibration. And they would just imagine it going to God. Going to God, going to God, going to God. So they would transmute that sexual energy towards God. And so they kept that energy flowing rather than blocking it off and being in this victim, villain, hero, drama, resistance, willpower game with their sexual energy. They would flow it, and that would create this huge flow. They opened up their hose and flowed it. And so they kept this massive flow going, and their life was tremendous. And they didn't feel this need like, oh no, I'm on this long starvation fast where I'm suffering and struggling. They learned to fully enjoy and embrace that energy and be a choice about how they expressed it. Now the opposite of that we've seen modeled over and over in a way that doesn't work is priests who suppress their sexual energy, believe that it's wrong and bad, suppress it altogether, cut it completely off, ignore it, push it down, hide it underneath, call it bad, and then it sneaks out and leaks out and expresses in all these shady ways that end up being molestation cases and abuse cases and all this other stuff. Right? So the same happens with all of these energies: anger, sadness, fear, sexual joy. Anytime we're suppressing any of these feelings, it gets expressed unhealthily. The anger, if it's suppressed, becomes expressed in an unconscious way that's destructive. But if I allow it to flow and I channel it into conscious creation in a way that is win-win and hurts nobody, then it's a powerful energy, and I've opened up the nozzle, and I've now added, it'd almost be like if I have five nozzles that control at the head of this big hose, and if I turn my sexual off, and I turn my anger mostly off, and I turn my sexual mostly off, and I turn my fear mostly off, then there's only so much flow that can happen. But if I can open them all up full force, and then rely on my full impeccable integrity on how to manage those energies, then I'm good to go. Because a lot of people shut down their energies because they don't trust themselves. They don't trust themselves to not hurt people with their anger. They don't trust themselves to not get caught up and crippled because of their fear. We don't tend to trust ourselves to, like, if we fully open up our sexuality and our sexual energy, that maybe we would have affairs and cheat and all this stuff. So then we just shut it down because we don't trust ourselves. So if we build impeccable integrity within ourselves so that we can 100% trust ourselves to be committed to win-win at all costs, then we can open up full flow, and instead of it being a fire hose that's freaking out and destroying shit everywhere, we can open up full flow and directionally point it and create what we want with it. We get laser-like focus, and the integrity is what makes it all hold together and be of conscious construction. So sexually, we've made up rules. You can't be sexually attracted to a married person. You can't be sexually attracted to someone who's, 10 years younger than you, older than you, whatever. So there's all these rules. There was an event I went to once where the first day we just started and they said, all right, welcome everybody. What a beautiful crowd. There's about 100 of us in the room. And why don't we start by everyone just standing up and checking each other out. And we're like, oh, what? And everyone kind of giggles and blushes. And they're like, yeah, we know that over the next 3 to 5 days, whatever the length of the event was, you're going to expend a ton of your energy secretly looking and checking out who you think's sexy in the room. How about we just get all that out of the way right now and clear that up so we can just be present and get some shit done around here. So we all stand up and look, and then they said, not only that, what if instead of making it perverted and wrong, you just enjoyed it for a minute? And you didn't, that doesn't mean feed it like, oh, what would it be like to have an affair with her or him or this or that? What if it was just, wow, look at that beautiful person. I really admire and appreciate that the beauty in that person in all forms. The beauty, the sparkle in their eyes, the light in their face, their curves, their this or that, whatever it is that you like. What if I just took a minute and admired that and allowed that to increase my thermostat or my energy flow in a positive way without adding guilt and shame and negative stories and visualizations of lose-win scenarios? What if I just did it with integrity, appreciated the creation, and then moved on? So we did that, and it was very impactful for me, because prior to that, every event I'd gone to, I would like scope out and be like, man, she's hot. Oh, she's hot. Oh, she's hot. And I would secretly like kind of keep tabs on the hotties that I thought was hot throughout the event. And if I think back, like a crap load of my energy was consumed on that. Total waste of energy. And at this event, when I actually took a few moments right there in that moment to just be like, ah, yeah. Then the rest of the event, I wasn't wasting any energy on it. I was like, okay, appreciated that, next. And it actually turned into the perverted stuff previously when I was ignoring it and suppressing it. And it didn't when I just acknowledged it and appreciated it in a good way. Yes, use it to charge your hose. So, my wife and I, something that's different about us than most couples is most couples make up all kinds of rules. Don't look at other women, don't look at other men, don't talk about who you're attracted to, none of that, but we do all of that. I'm like, wow, we just talk. Wow, look at that beautiful man, look at that beautiful woman, look at their beautiful body, check that out. Wow, I was turned on by that. Interesting, cool, tell me more. So in the beginning, that triggered our stuff and brought up insecurities and fears and doubts and pains and past traumas and all this crap. But then we would just be with that and learn, oh, let's heal this, let's heal this, let's heal this, until we're clear, we're in a monogamous, committed relationship. We're very clear about our boundaries and our integrity. But it opens the flow to quit, because the truth is, if you're a human and you're alive, and you have a heartbeat, and you can fog a mirror, you're attracted to somebody or something else beside your spouse, often, whether it be on TV, whether it be in real life, whether you're a woman or whether you're a man. You're attracted to other people than your spouse. So being authentic about that, and utilizing it as a source of healing and transformation is incredibly powerful. And then more on what I said about transparency and authenticity being the best aphrodisiac. When, like, seriously, let me talk to men for a minute, and the truth's going to be the same is going to be true of women. Men, if you want to turn your woman on, shut down all your other shit, turn off your phone, quit thinking about work, shut down your entire brain, and be 100% present with her for however long it takes, whether it be nurturing her, listening to her, a combination of all these. Be fully present and get her on a core level. Get her. Be with her right here, right now, and get her. Ask her questions. Tell me more. What are you feeling? What are you experiencing? What are you wanting? What's that like? What most interests you about that? What does that feel like? What are you experiencing around that? What is it you most want? I imagine you feel sad or scared or angry or happy. Tell me more. And rather than, and again, this is addressed to men, rather than offering a solution like, well, you should do this and then you won't have that. You should fix this. You should change that. Rather than offering all that brilliant advice, just effing listen and be with her. Be with her. And the only talking to do is to get her to express more and to fully express herself and to fully get her to get that you get her. Women that are listening right now are like, yeah, that would be nice. So they don't feel alone and they don't feel crazy, and open up and be such a solid rock within you that, because the woman's energy is kind of chaotic. They have way more emotions and hormones, and they can multitask and do all this shit. You need to be that rock that they can come and, because women doubt their sanity. They question their sanity almost always. They're like, am I freaking going insane? Like, by the time they go through their period and then all through the month, their hormones circulate like this, and they're more emotional beings, and all this shit triggers and stimulates their emotions. They're like, am I freaking crazy? And their biggest fear is that they're crazy and that someone's going to find out that they're crazy. Does this have any truth, women on the call? Raise your hand if this has some truth to it. Yeah. So men, like, your job is to be so solid in yourself and to have cleaned up your shit so much that you're not being triggered by their shit, that they can bring all this craziness to you, and instead of you freaking out and saying, bitch, you crazy, we don't do that. We just go, wow, tell me more. What's that like for you? And we get them to express, and they tell us all their crazy shit, and they're freaking out, and they're crying, and they're going on their emotional roller coaster, but we're so solid and stable that we can create this safe, loving space for them. We're not coming back with brilliant wisdom or advice or anything else. We're just being with them and loving them, and sometimes it's holding them while they break down and cry, and then they automatically are going to open up their hearts to us when they feel like they can be all of them, and we're just there to love them rather than react like a frickin' 2-year-old and start judging and condemning and calling names and blaming and taking it personal and all this other crap. So, like, your solidness in you determines your ability to show up and meet them and be the rock that allows them the solidness to be their craziness and then find their stability and know who they are and remind them who they are and remind them of their beauty, and they will open up to you and they will give themselves to you. And women, much of the same is true for your men. You ask them, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? What are you thinking? It's kind of an annoying question. But there's feedback in that. Like, what they're wanting is connection. If they're asking, what are you thinking? What they're really saying is, man, I feel disconnected from you and you don't seem to share your thoughts. You know, I want to feel you. I want to feel something deeper. I want some intimacy, of something of depth, something of meaning, not just this trivial shit. If anything, then when they're asking, what are you thinking, they're probably more interested in what you're feeling anyway. So, We can open up that sexual flow by creating a context and a container within the relationship of impeccable integrity, of absolute authenticity, of 100% transparency, of deep trust, deep love. Every secret that you keep, I'm going to say this, everyone pay attention to this. Every secret that you are keeping is keeping you from intimacy. It's a block in your capacity and ability to create intimacy. Every secret. So this ranges, some of you watching this call have had affairs. You got to get honest and in integrity and tell the truth about that. Face the price of the choice you made. Take accountability. Get back in integrity. If you're keeping secret, it kills. Secrets kill. They kill you. They kill relationships. They destroy your health. They destroy your confidence and your certainty. They destroy your business. They destroy everything. Secrets kill. But I'm not just talking about affairs. I'm talking about all of your secrets. Secrets about you being attracted to others. Secrets about those moments when you've had a thought that you're like, I want to shake my baby to death. Like, this happens for more people than anyone would ever admit. But these secrets kill us. Like, doesn't mean you're going to shake your baby, but if you don't talk about it, you might. Right? Because everyone's had the urge to freak the shit out on their child. Yeah, the truth will set you free. So, commit to a life of 100% responsibility for everything in your world. Commit to a life and relationships of 100% transparency. Commit to relationships of 100% learning from everything that happens within the relationship. Dropping all defenses, all blame, all attack, all criticism. Totally alleviating it, 100%. And instead going to curiosity and wonder and openness to learning from every interaction. Stop seeing each other as the enemy and now see each other as the ally, even when the other person seems to be a jerk. Seeing them as an ally there to expose to you your weaknesses and the things that need to be healed, and allowing and supporting you in getting that healing. And becoming, the other thing about this feeling thing is whatever feelings I'm not okay with in me, I'm not okay with those feelings in you. So if I'm not okay with my anger because my dad was an angry jerk and I'm scared that I'll be an angry jerk like him if I embrace my anger, then if you get angry, then I'll take that personal because I judge my anger, I judge your anger. Now I'm going to freak out on you for freaking out on me. So now I can't be that rock. This is true of both sexes. But if I come to terms with my anger and come to terms with your anger, then when you come with your anger and your messiness and your drama and whatever, I can just be solid in me and not take it personal. Being okay with all of your emotions and all of your partner's emotions is critical in this process. So if you're committed to 100% transparency, authenticity, vulnerability, truth, realness, just being 100, like literally transparent, like a window, like you can see right through me. There's nothing to hide. At the very least, we ought to be living this way with our partners. And at the very best, we would be doing it with the entire world. I'm probably more transparent about me and my struggles and my shit than 99.99% of the world. Like every book I've read on after death, near-death experiences, they've all said, yeah, when I went to heaven, it was really crazy because everyone knew what everyone was thinking instantaneously. And when I first read that, I was like, oh, shit. If everyone knew what I was thinking, no, scary. And now I'm like, sweet, that would be easy. We could just communicate like this, and we could create so fast because we wouldn't have to filter and do all the bullshit, and we wouldn't have all this negative shit. So one of the paths to translating or transmuting ourselves and transforming ourselves as quickly as possible would be to become so at peace with ourselves that we could just be all of us regardless of what anyone thought, and take out all the filters and just be and just express. And they love us or they don't love us, and it's okay because we love ourselves. We're the foundation. Okay, so let's bring this back to intimacy and sex and how it relates to everything. So creative life force energy is all of the energy that we have to create whatever we're going to create in this lifetime and fulfill our purpose. And that's affected by what we've talked about so far on the one hose theory. And the one hose theory is the theory that all of our life force energy flows through one hose. And then we talked about the 5 core feelings and how they affect the flow and the energy available for creation in that hose. And we talked a little bit about all those feelings, but specifically we're focusing on sexual energy today. Now consider that creative life force energy is in everything that is alive. That's what makes a tree grow. That's what makes a plant grow. That's what makes a garden grow. And it's even beyond the stuff that we think is alive, because Einstein discovered everything was energy. If you look at a rock, it's high energy vibrating in certain molecules at a certain frequency. It's pure energy. All of it's energy. So everything is creative life force energy. Rocks, dirt, trees, plants, tomatoes, food, people, everything is creative life force energy. We're all made up of energy, all from the same source and creator of energy, of creative life force energy. It's all the same. And there's nothing to be ashamed of about our sexual energy. It's clear out, and this is one of the things I took notes on about this topic, is whatever guilt and shame we are carrying around our sexual energy is incredibly destructive to our success. When I realized this, one of the things I did, and here's a classic example of transparency. Most people, you know, many people want to just get up and show their light, like, oh, I'm epic, look at me, I've got this amazing life. Well, it's actually cooler to just be you, and then whoever follows you, follows you. They're actually people you would like to follow you because they know who you really are, versus people who want to put you on a pedestal, and then later on they want to slash you down from that pedestal because they're like, oh, you said you were so cool, but you're not so cool. I found out you made mistakes when you were young. Oh, okay, isn't that true of everybody? We do this to politicians too. Like, oh, he was a cool politician, but now we found out he smoked marijuana in college. Let's destroy him. And the truth is, like, it's the new quotes that are like, hey, I've never met a strong person who didn't struggle or go through shit. So it's our mistakes that make us strong. It's the struggles that make us epic and amazing and human and perfect. And the whole model of, let me keep tabs on all the shit I did wrong and then feel guilty and shameful about it, but hide it away so no one knows, but then not fully shine, because what if someone found out and exposed me and took me off of my high horse? Instead, let's just rise to the top being truthful about all of it so that they can expose you and take you off your high horse. You already exposed yourself. It's like Eminem in 8 Mile. He's like, instead of waiting for the dude to diss on him and say all the stuff that he could to tear him down, he tore himself down. He's like, yeah, I am white. Yeah, I do live in a trailer park. Yeah, my mom is a drug addict. Yeah, your buddy did have sex with my girl. And, you know, now what? Right? What you got now? What you going to say now? And by the way, Mr. Black Boy, you think you're in the hood and you're a badass? No, you're a frat boy who had a hand-me-down, like you had a handout from your parents because you're just a rich frat boy. I'm more in this ghetto than you are. And so this was his key, one of his key defining moments in his life where he stole the thunder by sharing his transparency. So anyway, back to the point, when I realized the importance of cleaning up my guilt and shame around my sexuality, I contacted all the people that I remembered doing stupid shit with and cleaned it up with them. One of them was when I was young, I was massaging my stepsister, and I was like completely fascinated. I was like preteen, and I could not help but be fascinated by her boobs. And so I would massage your back, and then I would give into this temptation to reach around and kind of just rub her sides. I wouldn't reach clear around underneath and grab her boob, but I'd rub the side and just touch the side of her boob a little bit. And I felt guilty about that for 20-something years. Felt like I was a pervert piece of shit for touching just like from behind. She's laying down on her stomach, and I'm just rubbed down the side and grazed the side of her boob a little bit on purpose. I did it. I did it. And our first tendency is to think, what a pervert, what a piece of shit, what a blah, blah, blah. And when I realized the importance of, yeah, this stuff happens, then I went and I called her. I'm like, hey, when we were young, I used to reach down and I would touch the side. And now she never said anything. She'd never even acknowledged that I'd done it. So I didn't even know if I was like, did she know? What? So I didn't even know. But I just called her. I was like, when I used to massage you, then I would glaze the side of your boob. And I just wanted to clean that up with you and see, did I cause any pain or what's happening for you? And she's like, yeah, I knew you were doing it, but I don't know, maybe I kind of liked it. And no, I didn't really, like, I have no hard feelings over here, but I really appreciate you reaching out and cleaning it up with me. And I was like, oh, like this huge weight lifted off of me. And so, and me being a coach, guys, I hear the weirdest stuff. Like, you can't even imagine the stuff I hear, from affairs to people messing around with animals to people messing around with their buddies to like anything you can think of, all kinds of stuff. It's crazy how much stuff actually happens out there that people keep secret and are ashamed of. And if they just got clear and aligned themselves, the stupid stuff would stop happening and they could love themselves and move forward and allow themselves to be successful. So the short message is, if you've got any crap from your past, if you messed around with your brother, your sister, your cousin, your neighbor, and you have the ability to reach out to them and clean it up with them, reach out and clean it up. If you were molested and you've been scared to address that uncle or that dad or that cousin or that whoever, that neighbor, reach out and have an adult conversation with them. You're an adult now, you're safe now. Yeah, it's scary to bring the shit up and stir the waters, but just reach out in a loving way and say, you know, this happened and I've felt and carried a lot of pain, and I'm not here to blame or attack or criticize you, but I'm just here to express it hurt, I'm still hurting, and I wanted to speak the truth, and also, you know, whatever else. So just take some time to clean that stuff up. If you're carrying, the key message is, if you're carrying guilt and shame around your sexuality in any way, maybe it's that you were raised Christian and then you went off, you know, in high school and you ended up sleeping around, or in college when no one was looking, you slept around, and then you decided to settle down and get married, but then you feel guilty and like a piece of crap whore because you slept with too many people. It was, you know, more than one or more than 10 or more than whatever number you made special, and now you feel like a whore and you keep that stuff down. Whether you're a man or a woman, do something to release that and let go of it and forgive yourself and love yourself, so that you will allow yourself to be successful. And you will allow yourself to be truly intimate and close to your partner. So forgive all the guilt and the shame that you have anywhere and everywhere in your sexuality. Now, if you did some stupid shit in the past and you don't know where those people are, because there's, you know, I can probably think of 10 instances throughout my childhood where stupid shit happened, where me and the neighbor kids messed around, or me and the cousins messed around, or whatever. And so there's certain people that I have no idea where they're at. We were stupid little kids saying, show me yours and I'll show you mine. And the truth is, it was just innocent curiosity of stupid little kids doing what kids do. But I felt guilty and shameful for it for a very long time and didn't want anyone to ever know that I had done anything like that. And in my adult life, I've found that pretty much everyone's done some version of it, and that the guilt and shame is not serving anybody. So if you don't have access to reach them and clean it up, just clean it up in you and send them love and be like, hey, love you, best of everything. Not sure what you're experiencing out there. It's all part of the journey. anything I've done to contribute to your pain, sending love to clean all that up. And the number one thing I can do to clean that up is clean it up in me, because as soon as I alleviate that poison and cancer out of me, it's cleaning that tie and that hook and that cord that's got that negative circulation of energy. The best thing I can do for them is to clean it up in me. The worst thing I can do for them is to keep it in here so that then I hate myself and then I live a stupid life and then I continue to operate in the world at a lower frequency, which keeps everyone at a lower frequency. If we want the world to be a better place, we get to be the change we wish to see by raising our frequency. So the power of cleaning up and embracing your sexual energy and utilizing it to create what you want is critical to your success in every way. If you want to, like women, if you want to influence your man to help create your dream world and co-create that with him, again, be committed to win-win, but utilize your creative sexual energy to influence that in a healthy way. Use it to influence others in healthy ways. It's not about sex. It's not about seduction. It's about flowing, beautiful, powerful energy that can be consciously channeled to create win-win in all aspects of life. I touched on it a little bit earlier, the importance and the connection between sex and money. If you don't have a massively flowing sex life, don't expect money to flow either. Well, that's not 100% true, because it doesn't have to be about sex. It's just sexual energy. If you don't have a lot of sexual energy flowing, so some people might be, well, I'm Christian, I was married, now I'm divorced, so I have no sex. If that's your scenario, and you're not tapping into that sex and allowing sexual energy and allowing it to flow, doesn't mean go have sex. If it's against your values to go have sex as a single woman, don't go against your values, because that'll undermine your success. But tap into that. So the tendency is, I'll just shut that off because it hurts too much to feel the desire to have sex but not be able to have sex, so I'll just shut it off altogether. There's many cases that we do this. You could be married and do this. Maybe because you're sick of being rejected by your spouse, or you're sick of them not being interested, or being too tired, or having a headache, or whatever else comes up. So we don't want to deal with the rejection or the inability to fulfill, so we just shut it off. Well, you just shut off your bank account, and you just shut off your art projects and all the other, your business and all the other things you want to create, and you just kink the hose. So instead, get curious and say, how can I open up my full sexual expression and creative life force energy and fully express that in a way that aligns with my values? Because again, there's infinite ways to express that. I've covered all the key points in my notes, so let me do a final check-in before we wrap this thing up. Are there any questions? If you're on the call, feel free to type in questions on the side if you'd like to have them answered. So we got a question here, sexual transmutation. So transmutation is done, so like the people I talked about that were married transmuted their energy to God. They just took that desire for sex. They still were deeply, intimately connected and passionate and in love, but they took that desire for sex and transmuted that energy into a connection with God. It was like a three-way relationship with God. And so it's about an all energy to transmute it. Breathe and be present with it. Scan your body. Notice the sensations you're feeling. The truth is, if you're not feeling turned on, your life's not aligned. If you were doing what you love to do in the world, aligned with your passion and purpose, fully expressing yourself, in a rocking body of health, meditating and connecting with God, being inspired daily, living full out, you will be turned on. You will wake up and live a life where you are turned on constantly, and life is a big love-making session. It's just you're making love with life. You're just in love with everybody and everything and doing amazing things, and you are an expression of your Creator. You are here to serve your brothers and sisters through joy and being an inspiration of how good it can be. And the process is just scan your body, be aware of anything that is contraction within your body, and allow that to melt away, and then opening up and through your breath, allowing the energy to uprise in you and raising the frequency in your body to be able to handle higher and higher amounts of love and positive energy and connection and intimacy and joy and flow and ease and presence and power and vitality and life force and creativity, and setting aside time to be creative each day, doing fun things just for the sake of doing fun, creative things, doing art projects. Begin your day. A great practice is spend 10 minutes a day, each day, first thing in the morning, doing something creative just for the sake of creativity, not for work, not for money, not for any end result other than just the result of being creative and how that feels. Any version of art or creativity, music, anything that's creative for you that you just do for the sheer joy of it. So sex and intimacy. Intimacy, if you want intimacy and you want to dive deeper in this, you know, it always boils down to skill sets, mindsets, and environments. Create an environment that you can speak about these things openly and discover the truth around it all and quit hiding. Alleviate the secrets, get 100% transparent. The skill sets, learn skill sets in bed that make it more enjoyable to both of you. You might have some stories about what's okay and what's not okay, what's perverted and what's not perverted. I don't know any religious leader or anybody anywhere who has any problem with two consenting adults doing whatever they decide to do behind closed doors that affects nobody outside of those closed doors. So, but just understand the body. Study some anatomy a little bit. Understand the men's genitals and the woman's genitals and the way it all works, and beyond the genitals. Sometimes just being fully present with an arm or a hand or any body part is critical. And non-sexual touch is critical as well. Make a deliberate course of action to create non-sexual touch every single day for both partners. Gentle touches and massages and brushes and this connection that's non-sexual touch is critical. But skill set wise, learn the anatomy of the body, learn and ask questions about your partner, what they love in sex, what they don't love. Don't just assume. Don't just keep doing the same shit over and over again. That gets boring to everybody. Ask them. Open up dialogue. What do you most like? What do you most enjoy? How about this? And allow it to be an evolutionary process of expansion and of joy and connection and intimacy. And beyond the bedroom, sex and foreplay begins way before that. It begins in the kitchen. It begins the second you walk through the door. It begins the moment you wake up in the morning, and throughout the day, sending text messages and love notes and appreciations and support and being present and listening and supporting each other to only do what you love to do, and ending the compromise and the sacrifice and living a life that's aligned, and then learning communication skills and relationship skills and listening skills and sex skills. And so invest in your knowledge of relationships and communication and sex in and of itself so that you can open up this energy and free up. And one of the biggest things I want to end on is however much energy you are currently consuming in blame, attack, criticism, and drama of any sort, lies, secrecy, any sort, all of that energy is wasted energy. And as you clean all of that up and get aligned in an impeccable integrity with the right skill sets and mindsets, you can harness all of that energy and channel it towards what you truly most want. So if you look at your life right now and you say, how much of my time and energy, what percentage of my time and energy am I consuming on being a victim, on thinking thoughts like a victim, thinking scarcity thoughts around money, around sex, around relationships, around everything in life? How much of my energy am I consuming on thinking and acting like a victim? And if I took, and the number might be 20%, 40, 60, 80%, whatever it is, if it's 50% on average, and you said, I'm wasting 50% of my energy on thinking and acting like a victim, and then you took that 50% and channeled it towards creating your business or creating that epic relationship or creating that epic health and amazing body and whatever else you want to create, and you channel that other 50%, how much more would you be creating in the world by being conscious and deliberate about how you're expending your energy? It's like your budget and your finances. If you're just throwing out 50% of it, the stupid shit, and you brought that back in and channel it towards what you really want, how much more effective would your budget and your life be? That's it for today, guys. Thank you for being here. Hope you find this of tremendous value. Again, please go on the forum, share your takeaways, share your biggest takeaways, encourage your brothers and sisters to watch this, reach out, get more people here. Let's change the world one person at a time, one training at a time, one group at a time, and get them to do the same. And let's keep sending this out exponentially to be the change we wish to see, to make that difference, to transform ourselves and therefore transform the world so that we can all live happy, peaceful lives of freedom and joy and authenticity and love and impeccable integrity. Create an amazing week. Create a limitless week. Talk to you soon. See you on the boards.